Two dope dudes, bringing you the news, leading you to much success with all their insightful views. Do you grow yourself or buy from the top shelf? Are you here to take the reins and gain back your health? Whatever it is, you know the biz. Leave a like, crack a pipe, and let's get on with it. If you want to acquire the knowledge, you don't have to go to college. You can just come hang with Aaron and Dave.
Welcome to the Elevated News Podcast with TwoDopeDudes. We're a podcast focused on discussing local and national cannabis news and culture. I'm Aaron.
I'm Dave.
Yeah. What's going on, fam? How
Bro,
are
I
you?
just remembered too. Yeah, we're good. I'm fucking fantastic. How are you?
I'm great.
How's things been? How was the weekend, man?
Dude,
you had a cool ass event.
Lil Bean Funk Fest
Yeah.
with Nether Friends, who's the Terps and Titties guy.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's super cool. Yeah, it was super fun. Charlie always throws great events. I was right next to City Trees and the Lil Bean spot, so it was cool. Lots of people came by. Macho,
Dude,
Faviator,
Macho's awesome.
Marky, Bongster.
Fucking
Yesterday was
yeah.
my wife's birthday, so
Oh my
we
God,
celebrated
happy
that
birthday.
there. Yeah.
Oh, today is Gare Bear's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Sheriff.
Oh, Shaggy Pants.
Yeah, Sheriff No Pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, good old Gary Bear. Happy birthday, Gary. Gary's awesome. He always stops by.
I was
Love
about
that
to
guy.
choke mid-laugh right there.
Yeah, but no, it was super cool, and it was different than the Melt Market, but the mission is what's important, and we talked about that a
Yeah.
little bit earlier. The mission is what's important. Helping people learn how to grow their own plant medicine so that they can take their health back into their own hands is the mission, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Helping people get their medical card. In fact, it was super cool. Farah came by yesterday, and I had recommended to my friend Macho. He asked how to get his card, and I said, go talk to Farah. And she's like, oh, I connected with somebody. And I was like, hey, was it this guy right here? And it was super
That's
cool.
awesome.
And, you know, if you can help one person, you know how it is.
Well, and that's 100%. Having the right people at the right time, and there are honestly people there that'll support dope people, you know. But yeah, that's
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
fun. It's always, you know, there's always a bit of anxiety having to go out and talk to the public, but like once you do it and you're there in the moment, and it's just like, yeah, Joe came by. I mean, he hung out
Loved Joe.
yesterday,
Yeah.
brought some of his vegetables.
nice. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was real cool. You know, it's just always great when you're out there doing it and people show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Lil Beans,
Yeah.
the man knows how to get down. So he puts
Yeah.
together some really cool shit and brings some really cool people together to begin with. But yeah, I'm a fan. I absolutely is it like a little market type thing
Yep.
again? Yep.
Yep.
God
Yep.
damn.
And we were educational right there smack dab in the middle of
Good.
it. It was
Good.
awesome.
I mean, honestly, again, it's every fucking day, dude. And it's like, that's the thing to me. It's like, well, is it a marketing thing? Which it probably is, I'm sure, because it's just forcing the thing out to where it needs to be.
Right.
But yeah, man, I every day I watch people come through and ask the questions and then listen to some of the responses, and I promise you, it's sometimes it's very proper, but it is not what it needs to be, you know?
I mean, I was reading some stuff, you know, on Reddit earlier. I mean, there's always talk because somebody I'd met, had done a couple of really nice reviews about some cannabis of mine
Nice.
on Reddit. I was
Nice.
reading some of the comments, and like, it's hard because there is a campaign right now demonizing the regulated market, and maybe rightfully so, because it doesn't seem like a lot else has worked. And so,
Well, and
you know,
my question to this at the end might be, when would it be satisfactory to the consumer? Because everybody goes, "Oh, well, Michigan." And I say, "Okay,
there is a lot of Michigan talk. Yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying, because in some realms of what's going on out there,
Mm-hmm.
we are 6, 7, 10 times better return rate on the exact same products. Now, might the processes and might the initial product be a little bit less quality?
But the
Sometimes.
but the information is out there about why that is, and it's not the dispensary's fault. It's not necessarily the cultivator's fault. It is the way that the state has written the laws for the testing, and our
But
friend.
it's not even testing. It's as a, let's say, an infuser, right? Like,
Sure.
let's take a cushy punch or something for an example, right? I actually smoke the products. I don't think they're that
No.
bad as far as all things are considered.
I don't either.
Where did you get your distillate from?
Sure.
Where did you get your CO2 extract from?
Sure.
Where did you get your live resin from?
Sure.
Because that fucking matters
Yeah.
almost as much as anything. What the initial product that went into it,
Sure.
and the initial processes of extraction that take that thing
Right.
out of it, who's doing it, all of those
it
things
matters.
fucking matter. Because I promise you, something like a cushy punch has proprietary fucking blends of flavonoids, so you will get the same flavonoids from state to state.
Mm-hmm.
You will not get the same distillate. You will not get the same fucking concentrate that initially packs that thing. Is it 10x cheaper?
Well, that's
Correct.
because it's distillate with added terpenes.
So is
100%.
So is
Yes,
everything
and
that is an
that's-
infusion
that's-
license right now for the most
that is
part. Yes,
why-
they have access to live
That
resin.
is what part of the media campaign, and people like us talking about it, and people like Cole talking about it, and people like Couch Locked talking about it. The consumer is becoming more aware of what's going on, why the product in the market right now, they may want to try other things. And
Correct. And I'm not as against distillation as everybody else might be to
No,
some
me
capacity.
either.
Because when you do something like the Revolution had a great product, their terp tanks.
yeah,
It
I
was
remember.
it was a distillation process that reintroduced plant-derived terpenoids,
Sure.
and everything that came from that plant was so cleanly done through the process, and they made beautiful. That fucking Florida orange thing was the essence of Florida orange, and it was done through distillation. They just had a better distillation process. They also had some better initial product, right?
Yeah.
Because they were taking Florida orange fucking shake and crumbs
Yeah.
off the floor and fucking whatever, and through distillation you can strip the rest of everything that's out of that, but their refining process after was better. Everybody could do the same, but when we're using some of the dirt that is grown in fucking Michigan, or the abundance of old excess, maybe even moldy, maybe even excessively buggy
Yeah.
cannabis.
aphids,
Yeah, well,
bollworms.
Run
all
that
of
through
it.
a distillation process, because it takes everything out of it.
Yep.
And you're left purely, and that's why everybody goes, oh, well, testing on mold and testing on whatever.
Yeah,
well,
but the
it
people
makes
who
sense,
understand the plant understand that means that the end product is not, the flower did not develop in the way that it should have been allowed to. Does it still work? Yes. Can you wash it, distill it, take it all out, and it just be pure THC? Yes, but I would rather have, to me, or what they may be thinking is, I would rather have something that was done in a way where the plant thrived the whole time, had as much
was full
food,
nug,
and didn't have any deficiencies, and so like
so that plant though has waste, and what I'm telling you is,
Sure.
if you take that plant,
yeah,
and then you take the waste product of it,
yeah,
the shake and everything, you can make a distillate out of it, and make a very fine product. You
Yeah,
can then
biomass.
take that nuggy whatever and make your jars of shit, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's-
you're using the finest of the extract. I'm telling you, as a end delivery, and as from a medicinal standpoint, there aren't many differences because of the molecular delivery
Right.
between some of these processes at the end. You're still going to get, as long as they reintroduce the plant makeup, you're going to get that plant from it. So whether they do it in a live resin process, whether they do it in a cured rosin process,
Yeah.
whether they do it in a live rosin process, whether they do it in a cured wax butter, shove it up your mother fucking process, you know? I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I think that it's beautiful that distillate is a thing, because there are people who will never be able to afford the jars of rosin, man. There's
don't know,
people
man.
that probably should.
I saw some really some really good stuff, some like living soil, organically grown stuff, like $40 a gram.
Yeah, I know, but people are getting fucking.
$40 a gram is cheap.
I know,
That's cheap.
I
That's-
understand that, but people are getting fucking carts for a fourth
Yeah.
of that. People are getting carts for a fifth, a sixth of that, and it's crazy that, you know, is that big of a difference? It is, man, because I can smoke one of those in a day. I can smoke a cart in a day, whatever, the same way, depending on how the
Yeah.
hell you're doing it, whatever your processes are, however you're doing it. It all just has to be dollars make sense. And
Yeah.
for some people, the people who are talking budget constantly, who are talking about, you know, the going to Michigan, and this is where this all started.
Yeah, I don't know why
what
you're
do
yelling
you
at me.
need? No, I'm not. I just don't know what people want from the consumer market, because for me too, I'm in it.
I think-
and I wonder when the scale tips, and then people who are angry at it, right?
There's
go,
no
"You know
reason to
what?
be angry at it. You can be angry at how it's played out. You can be angry that it could be you see different ways and you would like it to be that way, but you shouldn't be angry at
I
people
think it's the
at the
taxes
dispensary.
the most, maybe.
The
You
taxes
think?
for sure. I think people are just starting to be more aware of how the market actually is and how the state is actually regulating it, and I think that's because of people like us, because of us talking about it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
think so. There's got to be well, and that's what the other day on Thursday night,
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody come in and say, "Oh, well, I heard that you can put it in your belly button,"
Yeah, I saw that.
and I was like, "Holy shit!
Yeah.
Where did you say you worked?" And then they were like, "Oh, at fucking where do you used to go?" Zen?
It was
Zen?
Tyler. Was it Tyler? Or
Yeah.
No. Yeah, the other person who used to work at Zen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he came in and said, "Oh, belly button," and I was like, "Holy fuck, Anthony, are you in here?" And fucking, he was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Tell me that you guys work together." "Oh, yep, they work
Yep.
together." Whatever. They found out, and I was like, the reason that dude just said that is because I told them people 5 fucking years ago.
Right.
And then, so the message still just trickles its
Right.
way out there.
Exactly.
Right? And I'm okay with that. The slow drip, whatever.
Well-
but I also would love for a knowledge bomb to go off for, because, but knowledge bomb would normalize.
Maybe a knowledge bong, man.
Man. I like that.
All right. Hey, let's do plugs real quick. And then we'll get into the news and comments and stuff.
Do it.
All right, cool. If you grow, you know. Having the right gear for your home garden makes all the difference. That's why you need to get on board with Crop Culture's quarterly home grower boxes.
Crop Culture releases insane value boxes every 3 months packed with premium seeds, growing equipment, and unique extras tailored for those who want to plant with a purpose.
But that's not all. Coming soon, they're launching monthly crop drops, where you can snag a pack or two of Fire Genetics along with must-have gardening accessories like AC Infinity's legendary trimming scissors.
We're talking stickers, mystery goodies, and deeply discounted bundles you won't find anywhere else. Just an easy one-time purchase with no commitment.
Their current quarterly box is an absolute steal, featuring top-shelf genetics, a pH meter or smell-proof bag, monitoring tools, fermented plant probiotics, and more.
And for our listeners, use the code TwoDopeDudes for $10 off any purchase of $100 or more at cropculture.net.
So whether you want the full quarterly experience or just need a regular re-up, Crop Culture's got you covered.
Level up your garden and score some gear that'll have your plants standing tall. If you grow, you know you need to check them out at cropculture.net before sold-out regret sets in. Let them help you plant with a purpose.
Hey there, fellow plant enthusiasts. Tired of using chemical fertilizers that harm your soil and the environment?
We feel you. That's why we want to introduce you to Green Grow Biological.
Green Grow offers organic soil amendments packed with beneficial bacteria and mycorrhizae fungi like their popular Pride Bloom fertilizer and flower finisher.
These little powerhouses work together to improve your soil health, helping your plants grow strong and healthy naturally. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting out, Green Grow has something for you.
And because Green Grow is committed to sustainable practices, you can feel good about what you're putting into your home and garden.
Head over to thegreengrow.com to learn more about their amazing products and how they can help you take your gardening to the next level.
And listen up, because here's a special offer just for our listeners. Use the code TwoDopeDudes for 10% off your entire order at thegreengrow.com.
That's TwoDopeDudes for 10% off at greengrow.com. Happy planting! Hey, Canna Curious connoisseurs, are you looking to elevate your wellness routine? Take it up a notch with Mr. CBD Chicago.
That's right, dude. They've got everything you need from their brand new El Jefe line with CBD and THC sprays for a discreet and convenient dose, to their legendary Moonrock matte bottle rockets and the always satisfying Spliff Society pre-rolls.
And listen up, Two Dope Dude listeners. Use the code TwoDopeDudes at checkout for 10% off your entire order at MrCBDChicago.com. That's right, 10% off.
So ditch the stress and embrace the good vibes with Mr. CBD Chicago. Head over to their website today. Just remember, use the code TwoDopeDudes for that sweet discount. You're not going to regret it. So you can find us, the Elevated News Podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all your other favorite streaming and podcast apps. Two Dope Dudes YouTube channel. Give us a like, leave a review. This helps us reach more people. I always try to be in the live chat. I appreciate all of you. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah.
You can find us on supportdopepeople.com, along with links to our other pods and free stickers just by providing your email and address. I'm actually going to be sending some more out this week. Email it to twodopedudespodcast@gmail.com for all your questions or things you want us to talk about. Dave?
Hey, that's me. On Thursday night, if you'd like to come hang out, which, well, man, did we have a good crew last week. Peace, Love, and Cope on YouTube. Come hang out. Ask me anything about cannabis on a medicinal level, on a personal use level.
He'll tell you how to boof it.
I will, and I'll make you a song about it too. But also, come in and tell me what would really satisfy you in the cannabis market.
Well, leave the comment here and tell us.
Drop it here.
Yeah, drop it here. Hell yeah. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Hey, we got Two Dope Dudes talk about Alabama medical program, brain aging in mice, and the new DEA meeting. Grojo, who was at the
My man.
yeah, super awesome.
I love you, Joe.
John Voight reacting to how much we love him. Also, him offering to explain culturing at some point. I just,
Hell yeah.
I just, I didn't want to comment too much about it. Like, I've read a bunch about it, but like in the moment, I didn't want to stumble and not explain it correctly. You know what I mean? So, but we could definitely have John on again. And we could
I'm
talk
in.
about it.
I like anything that I can learn.
Yeah.
I like when we were just talking a little bit ago, and any of that you got saved on that there thing, you should maybe use some of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, we were just talking about it when you explained how life works.
Oh yeah, I
Man,
was explaining some living soil stuff.
It was very nice.
Yeah.
Made me feel knowledged.
Is there-
So any knowledge I'll take.
There's our buddy Tyler Quick, giving some love, and then anti-aging properties are my favorite products. Bring it on. I told Mom if I hear of any, I'd let her know.
Yep.
We got some cool news. Home Depot will stop testing workers for marijuana and limit drug screening for most employee, internal memo shows.
Yeah, because they're struggling
Yeah.
to get employees because you have.
I mean, you work at a dispensary, and you guys probably don't drug test for weed, so
Not a fucking chance.
I mean,
I ain't drug testing you for shit.
everybody's having problems finding employees. My point, right?
Yeah, we
Drug
ain't.
test or not.
We're not. They'll run in for a couple of weeks, get out. It's the wildest thing, man, how unwanting to work people are. But I also understand because, like, pay me more money, you know?
Yeah, for what you have to deal with, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't even just give me more money.
So, hey, if you want to work at Home Depot and you smoke weed, you can now do it. It's shifting its employee drug testing policies to remove cannabis from screening panels entirely and stop any pre-employment drug testing of most of its workers, according to a new document obtained by Marijuana Moment. I also heard this includes if somebody gets in an accident. The plan changes are set to take effect on September 1st, which was yesterday. Hey, happy
Wow.
Labor Day.
Yeah.
And were sent out in a human resources memo this week, which was last week. Marijuana will be removed from all drug panels in the U.S., including from tests following a workplace accident, and in cases where there's reasonable suspicion an employee was impaired.
Oh, wow.
More broadly, the memo says that pre-employment drug testing going forward will only be conducted for external candidates with contingent offers and asset protection and corporate security. That's fair.
Reasonable.
I mean,
guess.
it's
But
reason.
it's always weird to me that like they're like, yeah, cops can't smoke weed, and then everybody's like, well, it's probably good. They don't need to. I'm like, that's the fucking first person who should be smoking some fucking weed every day.
Yeah.
Force
Well,
them.
I think the thought behind it is they want somebody so put together that they are not, focused on a lot of external things to try and, they want people that are like the idea of like really having their life figured out and are not, using any other substances. And it's a
Them
very
motherfuckers are-
outdated idea.
Yeah,
But it's not even something
but
you
it's
can
okay to drink alcohol because it's normalized. It's okay to fucking
right.
I don't know.
It's-
Eat the fucking
it's dumb.
Norcos on lunch, man. You're good.
Home Depot
fentanyl ain't
initially
no
replied to Marijuana Moment's request for comment on Monday by saying the company was looking into the changes, which were first described publicly in a Reddit post.
Get the fuck out of here. Is this real?
Yes, that's what I was trying to tell you, Dave.
That's
You
hilarious.
you think I'm just saying things like off the wall sometimes, but trust me.
fucking Reddit.
Reddit is a cesspool of villainy and scum, and it's just for porn, and stay away from it. Beth Marlowe in the corporate communications department said the company doesn't typically comment on internet rumors. Marlowe did not immediately respond to multiple follow-up calls and emails on Tuesday, attempting to verify the new HR document that they later obtained. This is all just dumb.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Oh, it was on the subreddit Our Home Depot. So GG.
oh
Hell yeah.
hell no, that's the fucking funniest shit. They say that they have 400,000 employees. Is that what they just said?
Yeah, the company says it employs more than 400,000 associates in more than 2,000 stores across the U.S., putting it among the top employers in the country. You know, I painted a butt ton of Home Depots.
Really?
Yes, back in the day.
Okay.
Several other users commented on the Reddit post, indicating there are also Home Depot employees who have heard similar announcements at work this week. I heard it as well, but not in a meeting. Okay. It was announced at corporate today. I mean, so we're going off Reddit posts. Good job.
Well,
I mean, that's...
well, I mean, hey, listen.
Yeah.
No matter what, good for Home Depot.
Yes.
Good for their employees.
Yes.
If you're allowed to drink alcohol, run it up.
Here's another one from our friends at Marijuana Moment. Federal gun ban, and I've been reading about this. Federal gun ban on gun ownership by marijuana users is unconstitutional, appeals court says. Now, this was in Texas. This is the Fifth Circuit Court, if I remember correctly, in Texas. So it does not apply across the United States, but it does set precedent in other states of how laws are, which is important. A federal appeals court panel on Wednesday ruled in favor of a Texas woman whom judges described as a nonviolent marijuana smoking gun owner, affirming a lower court's ruling that federal charges filed against a woman for owning a firearm as a cannabis user are unconstitutional. Wow. The short of it is that our history and tradition may support some limits on a presently is important, intoxicated person's right to carry a weapon, the court wrote in the new opinion, but they do not support disarming a sober person based solely on past substance usage. Judges also pushed back against claims by the Department of Justice attorneys that cannabis users are inherently more dangerous than other Americans. Now, do you see the violent inherent in the system?
Wow.
That's a Monty Python joke. Anyway, nor contrary to what the government contends, do restrictions on the mentally ill or more generalized traditions of disarming dangerous persons apply to nonviolent, occasional drug users when of sound mind, the decision says. The Department of Justice has argued in this and other recent court cases that the federal law against gun and ammunition possession by someone who uses marijuana is consistent with other historical restrictions on gun ownership, such as, in quotes, mental defectives and others whose possession of firearms is contrary to the public interests, end quote. But the Fifth Circuit panel disagreed. We must ask, why was severe mental illness a reason the founders disarmed people, and is that why relevantly similar to 922G3 says the opinion, referring to the statute against gun ownership by people who consume illegal drugs. Wrote the court, it is not. The government highlights nothing demonstrating that laws designed to confine and consequently disarm those who so severely mentally ill that they presented a danger to themselves and others map onto statute 922G3 rationale, the panel says. Repeat marijuana users, like repeat alcohol users, are of sound mind upon regaining sobriety, whereas those adjudged severely mentally ill often require extensive treatment and follow-up examination before they can be said
So when you're
to be of sound mind again.
intoxicated under cannabis or alcohol or anything, according to the law,
Right.
you are considered severely mentally ill.
You
at
are
that point.
you are well, no, you're considered not of sound mind and or may have a cognitive impairment presently. So, I mean, you know as well as I do that if you are carrying a firearm, in our state, you can't go into the bars.
Correct.
You can't go to a place that more than, what is it, 50% of its sales are alcohol, correct?
Correct.
So they do not want, obviously, they've made that because they don't feel like being around people who are inebriated or yourself being intoxicated are of sound mind to make a decision such as with a firearm.
There's a lot of
I pretty much agree with that. I don't think that. I think that it's a big responsibility to yourself and to others not to be inebriated if you're carrying a firearm.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I'm with you on that. I think that there is in the same way that I don't believe that if a police officer that I advocated for earlier in this speech was to use cannabis, I don't think you should do it before work necessarily. I
No.
think if you're going in to do that level of work, you should probably be of sound mind.
yeah,
And I don't think that cannabis impairs that. I think it can definitely take the edge off. So even in small doses, I wouldn't mind. But there's a level in there where you could definitely.
yeah, for sure.
There's a few people I've worked with. You wouldn't want them to be a cop. Is all I'm trying to say. They smoke too much at work.
That's awesome.
Um,
So,
but
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, this debate will probably go on for well after you and I are even around, I'm sure. I genuinely believe that there is a time and a place for everything, and I think that there is also different levels of mental capacity and ability to handle things. And I think with different levels of impairment, you're probably accurate. But it's weird too, because in that thing where it says if alcohol sold more than 50% of
Right.
the time here.
Well, that's our
So-
conceal laws is just
Yeah,
what it is.
1,000%.
It
I'm
wasn't
with
here,
you.
yeah.
No, I'm with you. It's weird even in that like, well, that's where the most belligerent assholes who are going to do some dumb shit.
So
I don't know.
here's another thing they said. Deciding whether a conceptual fit exists between the old law and the new requires the exercise of both analogical reasoning and sound judgment, judges wrote, which is
I like that.
true. We hold the government to its heavy burden as the Second Amendment is not a second-class right. Marijuana user or not, Paola is a member of our political community and thus has a presumptive right to bear arms. By infringing on that right, Statute 922G3 contradicts the Second Amendment's plain text. Yes, because it is a God-given right.
Yep.
We say it is, it goes without saying, because God exists, we have this right as a human.
Literally, to protect you
literally,
and yours.
literally.
That's okay.
Judges
You
also
should-
said
Yeah.
the government failed to demonstrate that lawful restrictions on gun ownership by domestic abusers or the mentally ill were sufficiently similar to its law against firearm possession by drug users. Laws designed to disarm the severely mentally ill do not justify depriving those of sound mind of their Second Amendment rights. The analogy stands only if somebody is so intoxicated as to be in a state comparable to lunacy. So just like we basically said.
Yeah, I mean that's That's the unfortunate, archaic way of the law. And you can go into different levels of this shit, but what law is and what different interpretations of exist is weird. But when they're literally correlating.
And here they say that just as there's no historical justification for disarming citizens of sound mind, there is no historical justification for disarming a sober citizen not presently under an impairing influence. The ruling contends instead that alcohol is the closest comparator and historical analog available. No federal law limits the Second Amendment rights of people who occasionally drink alcohol. Perhaps the government could succeed if it were able to demonstrate that the drugs Powell used were so powerful that they rendered her permanently impaired in a way comparable to severe mental illness, the opinion concludes.
Bro, it literally, you see the amount of fucking bullshit that is like somebody drinking a fucking Bud Light, shooting off a fucking gun with their little country fucking trucks and the fucking whatever. And that's all right,
And
right?
so
Supposedly, but
this is important because the Department of Justice has made similar arguments in a separate case in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. That's why these rulings actually do matter, and they do set a precedence for the whole country.
It starts to ripple.
Correct. In that matter, a group of Florida medical cannabis patients contend that their Second Amendment rights are being violated because they cannot lawfully buy firearms so long as they are using cannabis as medicine, despite acting in compliance with state law. We also have that problem here in Illinois.
Dude, I just think, again, I don't know.
I mean, the Biden administration before had claimed the cannabis consumers with guns pose a unique danger to society because they're unlikely to store their weapon properly. That was
because they're mentally ill, whilst
earlier this year.
mentally
Meanwhile,
ill.
President Joe Biden's son Hunter was convicted by a federal jury of violating statute by buying and possessing a gun while an active user of crack cocaine. Hey, wasn't that Russian disinformation? Isn't wild what Zuckerberg actually put out? I mean, although he had alluded to it before and we'd pretty much known, but
wild.
I mean, look at what Twitter did. That's why Musk bought Twitter, because they literally went from what the FBI said was disinformation and they just blacked out the link and you couldn't even message it to somebody on Twitter.
Yep.
And earlier this year, meanwhile, President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, was convicted by a federal jury of violating statute by buying and possessing a gun while an active user of crack cocaine. Hey, if you as a person have nothing else going on in your life that you have to, pick a side and just listen to whatever propaganda, you understand that's your new religion, right? You're so weak that you're using that as your religion. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
I don't know why I even said that. I love you all, and I want you all to be good.
No, yeah, I hope that people identify as a community.
Yeah.
Identify as something bigger than a very individual thing, because all that trying to identify as one little pinpoint doesn't allow you to be way more. And I promise you, you're way more.
I want to do do you remember going over this in the winter? I think we talked about the outdoor
Yeah.
So the Cole memo, our friend Cole, who's supposed to come up here and wants to come on the show and see the studio.
Nice.
Gonna bring us some hemp derived cannabis drinks.
I'm in.
Yeah, Riverside, I think. Traditionally, the cultivation of cannabis in Illinois has been confined to indoor facilities with strict regulations ensuring that the plant is grown in controlled environments. In December 2023, after over a year of casual investigation, this was way back when, I released information suggesting that a select few cultivation centers in Illinois had quietly been granted permission to grow cannabis outdoors. So you remember us talking about this. Please go to thecolememo.com and read this whole thing. What I wanted to... So what it says is, I'm pleased to report that I've recently acquired a collection of documents related to outdoor cannabis cultivation in Illinois. I can now confirm there are at least 2 active lawsuits involving Nature's Grace and Wellness and Green Thumb Industries, GTI. For the first time, I'm revealing to the public the rescission letters issued to GTI and NGW, confirming my initial findings were accurate. Outdoor cannabis cultivation was indeed permitted in Illinois. Up until now, I've been unable to get any state official to confirm the existence of such activity on record, and not aware of anybody else who has. So there are some documents here. They are still permitted to use their outdoor growing areas while litigation is ongoing. Now, what I had heard,
Wow.
this is outdoor. This is outdoor. What initially they were supposed to be, my understanding is parts of the lawsuit are over other companies saying, why can't I? You have done this for other companies. And that's part of the lawsuit. And I believe the other one is that these companies, these were supposed to be hemp-derived, this is supposed to be hemp plants, but they're not.
Wait, they're supposed to be hemp?
Originally, these companies were supposed to be growing hemp, THCA hemp.
They are?
And that's how they...
They are?
Yeah, I know. But what is going on in a lot of these is that it is growing cannabis and not hemp. Even though it's the same thing, obviously, when you're a compliance company, that distinction does matter.
Well, but they're growing something that's under 0.3%
Yeah,
THC
but
by
it's
volume.
the license from the state allowing them to do it is
I
what is the
understand,
issue.
but in the growth process, they haven't broke anything down, and through the curing process, or they haven't broke any laws. Through the curing process and the extraction process, they definitely.
I'm not saying
break
that.
some laws,
I'm not
you
saying
know?
that they have. I'm saying that there's some law,
Some little litigation.
some litigation going on.
Hey, you know what, man? Did you hear it? Did you listen to it? The Theo Vaughn thing or no? If not,
You've asked
just-
me the last 2 podcasts, and we've talked about it. Yes.
Oh yeah. Hey. The litigation thing makes me happy though. The loser should have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I'm into it. Cause
Hey.
then I'd love to see if like the state would waste the time to do this thing, or if they were like, yeah, we're, you know.
Well, before they didn't want the information getting out.
Damn, Cole's blowing the fucking roof.
Cole's awesome.
off.
I love Cole.
Let's go, Cole.
Cole's got the mini doc on the 18th at what is the place on the south side? We had the Urban Legends there. I can't remember what it is. Where does it? Why does it not say? Oh, Blue Island Beer Company. Yeah,
All right.
Blue Island Beer Company in on the 18th. You should go to it. Not you, because I know you won't. But he's got a mini doc.
I think that sounds like it might be like a Thursday or Wednesday or something.
It might be. It's also like with HFM, who I hung out with last Tuesday at the Honeycomb Hideout and Mr. CBD. It's a really
Nice.
cool spot. Good for him.
Nice.
He's cultivating his own community, and I'm super proud of him.
Hell yeah.
So,
Super fire.
hell yeah. You got anything else, bud? That's our Labor Day talk.
Oh,
It was all over.
it was laboring day. No, yeah, everything's good. I just, I really have been like thinking about it too, like, and not just a very, because even for me too, when would I stop being so angry at the cannabis market?
Yeah.
And like, I think it is the taxes a lot of times, and I'm sure that hopefully everybody's writing in the comment section about what their
I mean, so
what is it that makes you upset? Because is it the high prices? Is it the lack of selection? Is it?
I mean, we
that
can go
there's a
on Reddit right
competition?
now and look at a list of reasons of people. But
Yeah.
like, it's how do you change that too? You change it, number one, by talking about it. You change it by educating more people, which is what's happening.
I mean,
Partially,
if it's regulation driven, though, which a lot of this is, it's not.
I know that's what I've said.
Some of the reasons, and I trust me, I look at fucking ill trees or whatever all the fucking time because that is where a lot of information is going on.
Yep.
But I'm like, man, why the gripe a lot of times? I get it. Sometimes it's so personal because you start to read through and somebody's like, love, hate,
Are you
hate,
mad at
fuck.
D's nuts? Because I know who that is.
No.
He's cool. He comes to the
Who's these nuts? I don't know.
he rails against it. I'm gonna bleep that out. No, I was just saying you seemed like you were complaining specifically about one person. But yeah, there's a lot of ill trees hate right now, but that's just the way it is because there's
I don't know anybody by name. I don't really
Okay.
pay that close of attention to it. I'm just generally reading. I'll never put a name to it because I don't really care. I
Yeah.
just want to hear the banter. What are people talking about? And there's a lot of just frustration with
Yeah.
things. And price, I can argue in some of this because people want to talk about how Michigan this, Michigan that, but then there's comparable parts of this that make more sense.
The Michigan thing has been going on since Shy Trees. There's always been Michigan is better. If Indiana had weed, people would say Indiana is better. If Wisconsin had weed, there'd be people on Reddit going, Wisconsin is better.
Yeah, but I
I'm
mean,
telling it's just the
are
way that it
people
is.
saying St. Louis is better? Fucking,
No, St.
that's
Louis is
not-
saying that it has the same market as us, and the taxes are almost as high, and they put on some cool events, but nobody's talking about them yet. There's some cool ass events in St. Louis.
Really?
I've been to some.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not. You just don't hear about it. It's the markets are. We've talked about it. The markets. Everybody has a market now. Everybody has an event now. Everybody thinks that because there's lots of people, you keep seeing new vendors popping up, new products, new whatever in the quote unquote gray market, right?
Well, and
So
that's-
more and more people are getting into it. So you're hearing more about it. People are becoming more educated about it.
More people are trying to, and well, yeah, it's
The-
everybody trying to eat a piece of the same pie,
Yes.
though. There's not a
And
lot
that's-
more like,
But that's what I've been saying. There's room
Yeah.
for everybody at the table.
yeah, to a degree, man. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's. I think people are spending about the amount of money that they can spend.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter whether you're doing it black, gray, or regulated market. It just doesn't matter because you're spending the amount that you can.
People want quality from
That's
somebody
it.
that they can trust.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what they want. They want quality product by what do I always say? I would rather smoke my friend's weed. If you grow weed that makes you want to take it to your friend's house and smoke it with them, that's good weed.
Yeah. 100%.
That's the kind of weed that I want to buy.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of these dispensaries are just faceless corporations. So you don't have an incentive. You don't have your like, these are my peoples,
Yeah.
right? I'd
Touche,
rather
to a
go smoke my
degree.
friend's weed.
But I mean, that's why it's only within the walls of each dispensary. So
Correct.
I would exponentially rather walk into a dispensary and run into some of the characters that I have than some of the
I
others.
only-
There's times where I'll spend $300-400 in a place compared to sometimes I will buy 2 joints and walk the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, I shop at your dispensary because you're there. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't go often, but like
No,
I never went in there before because there's no reason to.
Well, and that's, I don't know if I said it during this or before when we were bantering, but if I'm going to be part of it, I'm going to put the products in there that people should consume or
Right.
should have access to. And if it's above your budget, I hate that right now because there's a lot of things that are above budgets. But again, some of the correlatable lines, like flower price for quality flower across the line, is the exact same.
Right.
Edibles, there are very cheap ones and there are very fucking regulated price ones, right? Like it's a full spectrum
It's
of everything.
unfortunate that most of the edible products are very similar across the board. In their categories, they're all similar. Not the same. Everybody has their own proprietary flavors,
You know who
colors.
Can I give a shameless shout out on this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's to a lesser, or they're new. Enliven, have you heard of them? Enliven?
Yeah, I have some of their sugars.
Dude,
It's fantastic.
they make
They make
one of
sweetener.
the best. They make fucking Enliven is making popcorn right now.
Yes.
It is one of the best edibles I've ever eaten in my life. I mean, it whacked my melon.
Didn't
to
King Daddy perform for that?
something like that?
Yeah, man.
Something like that. No, I'm cool. There's a lot of cool shit going on in the market.
Well-
And is it expensive? Fuck yeah. Are you going to buy a bunch of it? Fuck no. But is it worth you getting one every once in a while? I think so, dude.
I
And
mean,
if you have
I
the
miss-
budget for it, I think fucking smacking a bag of some fucking caramel and cheese, you know? I'm in.
I miss stuff like the hot chocolate, the hot cocoa mixes.
Damn, you just fucking...
Yeah, buddy.
What the fuck,
Yeah,
man?
buddy. You remember when we used to get hot chocolate?
1,000%
So good.
from Rev, dude.
Yeah, baby.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. It had the little fucking marshmallows in it
Yeah,
already.
dude. Already in the
Shit
little
was
white packet.
fire.
Yep. Awesome. Well, I mean, there's also cool products. I saw, I saw somebody have edible ice cream yesterday.
Yeah.
Like homemade edible ice cream. Like,
nice.
fuck it, let's go.
Nice. Yeah, my buddy he made me ice cream in the past. We had some pesto. He's like a chef.
Yeah.
You want to fucking cook me
Yeah.
up some stuff, Yeah, we had a lasagna once. That shit was amazing. It was actually something I felt. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe like real digestible food sometimes. Something that isn't a gummy bear with a bunch of sugar and shit that our body doesn't.
There's a lot of that out there.
Yeah.
A lot of that out there. I see a lot of that. But hey, check out stuff like the Illinois News Joint Craft Show on September 7th. That's coming up here end of the week. Stay tuned for September 28th.
Yep.
Lil Bean with the Terrapin Flyer.
Yeah.
Go Cup coming up next month in October.
Yep.
Lots of cool stuff to see.
Heard that.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
We love you all. Smoke weed every day.
Happy birthday, Gary.
Yeah, happy birthday, Gary. Peace.
Yo, ding dong, we're done here. Time to go.